I just did this whole entire thing and it didn't record any of it. So now I have to do it all over again.
No.
You gotta be kidding me. I'm dead serious. Oh, shoot. Okay, well, I'm live now, so hey guys, this is round 2. Oh. Oh my goodness, I literally just said all this. Okay, so this is what happens. I'm gonna go real quick. This is how I did that, and I'm gonna explain to you how you guys can do it too if you have any questions. So number 1, real simple. You've got the phenotypes of the child right here. So all I did is up here at the top, I wrote down all of the different genotypes and their corresponding phenotypes, and I matched them to the child. So if the child was O blood type, Rh negative, and M, I just wrote it. So it's going to be little I, little I, little r, big M, big M. The mother, so she was she had O blood type, Rh negative, Mn, and the father was A blood type, Rh positive, and M. For the child to have been Rh negative, I know, because that's a recessive allele, that both the parents have to be a carrier so that they could pass that on. And if the father was Rh positive, then I know he's the one who's got to be the heterozygous. So real basic. And then I know he also has to be a carrier for the little I, so this guy could have an O blood type. So the mom's easy. With both of these being recessive, I know for a fact that she is little I, little I, little I, little r, and then MN because it's codominant. So whatever it is, it is. And then with the father, I know he is going to be a heterozygous A for the blood type, heterozygous R, and then he's going to be MM. That'll pass it on to the child. Going down to letter B, what I did for this was, one, I separated each different allele into their own Punnett square, and I just did crosses between the man and the woman, and I found the different ratios for each different genotype. So then what I was looking for was blood type B, Rh negative, and Mn, and with the corresponding fractions, so it'd be 1/4 times 1/4, or 1/4 times 1/4 times 1/2, you get 1 out of 32. So 1 out of 32 of those offspring are going to be B blood type, Rh negative, Mn. Letter C, same basic concept. The only thing that's different is that one over here, you're going to have 2 different possible genotypes that are going to come out with those phenotypes. That's a little bit of Spanish for you. All you're going to both gene together so that you get the ratio. So you get 1/64, 1/32. Turn that into 2/64, add it together. For the child, it would be the offspring that would have blood type A, Rh positive, and M is going to be 3/64. D, what was question D again? Pull this up. Oh, yes, I said no, he is wrong. This is the father that says the child can't be his. He's wrong. This child could very well be his, and the reason is because both him and the mother could have been carriers for the O blood type and for Rh negative. Although he wasn't expressing it in his phenotype, he very well could have been a carrier, and his wife could have been a carrier as well. And that's how it happened. So, moving on. Question number 2. So this is talking about the different combs on the chickens. And then it's asking about what are the genotypes of the parents that produce the following progeny phenotype ratios. This one might have taken a little bit longer, but very similar to the last question. What I did was, and this helps me stay organized and to stay kind of linear with my thought process. What I do is I write down the phenotypes and I write down what their genotypes would be for the single comb, everything like that. Obviously, walnut should be the most dominant. For this first one was, in letter A, you're going to have 1 walnut, 1 rose, 1 pea, and 1 single. So what I did for that was, because it was you have 4 different traits, and you have when I did the cross, basically a little bit of process of elimination, a little bit of logical thinking. There being 4 different phenotypes connected to these alleles, or 4 different traits, you're going to need heterozygous for everything. Okay, so what I did was did a little Punnett score for that, and it came out to being heterozygous R, heterozygous P for both the mother and the father, and that was the only one that could possibly give that ratio. For letter B, 3 rows, 1 single. The rose allele, for them to be rose, you just need 1 dominant R allele, and then you need 2 recessive P alleles. Okay, and then for it to be single, you need homozygous recessive for everything, R and P. So I knew for a fact that if I want a single, one single comb, I'm going to need a heterozygous recessive. So what I did was a Punnett square to double check my work. I knew the P didn't make a difference. It was going to be homozygous P no matter what. The only thing that was making a difference here was the R. So I did 2 heterozygous R's. I basically did a cross of 2 heterozygous R's and 2 homozygous recessive P's, and that gets your ratio of 3 to 1, so 3 rows and 1 single. The 1 rows to 1 single, same kind of concept before, except you only have 1 heterozygous R, homozygous recessive P crossed with a homozygous recessive R and P. So that would be 1 rose comb and 1 single comb crossed. It's going to give you, when you do, this is it actually right here. So when you do that Punnett square, you're going to get a 1-to-1 ratio. Okay. One rows. Okay. To make sure that the walnut, you don't have to worry about that. Basically, what you're going to be doing is all of them are going to be homozygous R. Okay. And to get that 1 rose, okay, we don't want too many roses. We just want 1 rose. It's going to have to be the recessive, and it's going to have to come through a carrier. So I did was RR and P little p. So heterozygous recessive, heterozygous, excuse me, for P. And when you cross those overs, that's what I got, was a 3 to 1 ratio. I really hope this is making all sense for you guys. Number 3, we're moving on to the horses. Okay, explain the inheritance. So what I said was for letter A, the inheritance ratio of the different offspring is showing that the allele for coat color is codominant. Chestnut would be AA dominant, Palmino would be heterozygous, and Cremello would be homozygous recessive. For this reason, Palmino is the phenotype that is being expressed most often. Letter B, I basically answered that already, but Palmino is heterozygous, chestnut homozygous dominant, and Cremello is homozygous recessive. You know that because when you look up at the offspring, Palmino is obviously the one that's being expressed the most, and it's usually, for example, you have a chestnut crossed with Cremello. You don't get any offspring that are chestnut or Cremello. You only get 23 Palminos. So that one shows you right there that it is codominant, and then 2, that Palmino is heterozygous because you're getting 2 homozygous mixing, creating heterozygous. And then I knew that chestnut was the homozygous dominant because of this one right here. When you cross the Palmino and the Palmino, you got 13 Palmino, 6 chestnut, and 5 Cremello. Basically, what that's going to mean is across the Palmino and the chestnut, you almost had a 1-to-1 ratio, whereas if that had been recessive, you would have a ratio. Wait a minute. Yeah, moving on. Okay, number 4. Basically, all you have to do is a reading to find all those those definitions. So I just read and took good notes and went back, referenced the the material and then put it in. Though when you get down to letters G and H, so for both of these, this was the snails as well as the pigmentation for the leaves. Those were both based off the maternal effect. So basically, the phenotype of the mother is going to override the genotype of the father no matter what. So for the snails, you're going to get 60% dextral, 40% sinistral, because that's the phenotypes of the mothers. The ratio would be 3 to 2. You have the same ratio for the leaves, 40% of green, 60% of white, and you get a ratio of 2 to 3. Really quick. So what I did, one gene, start out the most dominant to least dominant, just kind of paper. And example, black and sepia. Those were the only two alleles I was going to have to deal with. So I did a combination of B because they can't all be B. So if both contained B, then all my offspring would just be B, not black. So I did a black heterozygous crossed over with a sepia homozygous, and that gives you the 1-to-1 ratio of 50%, 50%. The 70%, 75% sepia and 25% cream offspring. So when you have a 3-to-1 ratio, you just follow off what Mendel basically said. That's two heterozyguses combined is always going to make a 3-to-1 ratio. So that being said, it was and sepia heterozygous offspring percentage for one going to be the diamonds dominant to white. So the other parent, paternal person was going to have to be a sepia. And then if you want to get a 25% offspring, you have to have, that's only going to come through a carrier. So I knew they were both heterozygous, a heterozygous black and a heterozygous sepia. And when you cross it over and you do the little Punnett score, that's the ratio that you get. Letter D, same thing that I said for letter B. You have 3-to-1, so you know they're both heterozygous black because black is dominant to white. And so it was a heterozygous black crossed over with a heterozygous black, with white being the recessive allele. All right, that was my second time saying that. Kind of went through it really quick. I hope you guys learned everything. I know I did. Thank you very much. Have a great night.